Hi guys, it's Minolta again, back with another video. So we're continuing and our theme is all about nature. So let's do a material check. Let's see if you have your canvas, you have your palette, or just your basic colors, whatever colors you have, but you will need white and black. So I have here blue, white, pink, red, yellow, and black. And once you mix some colors, then you create other colors. So since our theme is nature and I love nature, I said to myself, we should do maybe some flowers. So what I have here is my canvas on my easel. If you don't have an easel, you can paint with your canvas on your table. Just make sure your table is protected or whatever surface you're using before you start painting. And your utensils are, you would need your brushes and you may need a pencil. It depends on how comfortable you are when it comes to if you want to just draw with your pencil, draw with a paintbrush. So today I'm going to take advantage of all my colors and I'm going to start off with maybe some red. I want to make a beautiful pink colorful background because our last video we did just a basic sky. So let's see what colors we can create for our background today. So I'm going to use some red. And by the way, if you don't have a palette knife, you can use a popsicle stick or you can just mix your paints with a brush, whatever brush you choose. So I'm going to take my palette knife and I'm going to take some of that red. I'm going to start off with some of that red. And I'm gonna take some pink. Now remember guys, if you don't have paint, you can mix white and red and that creates pink. So if you don't have pink paint, you can mix it. Mix that with white and red. Now, I'm gonna take a little bit of that. I'm gonna take also a little bit of white because I wanna make something very interesting. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna rest that on my napkin. And I'm gonna take a flat pink brush, dip it in some water, just a little bit. And I'm gonna use some of that red. So what we're doing, guys, we are creating a background. And if you don't want to use red for your background, you can use whatever color you want. You can use yellow, you can use, your blue. You can mix that blue with yellow and that creates a green. So whatever color you want to use, you don't have to use red like I'm doing. Right now, we are creating a background. And right now I'm just going to flow. Sometimes you want to have fun with it. And we're going from left to right, right to left, left to right. And when I think I want to just switch it up a bit at any point, I can just switch my paint color. So let's see how some of that pink. And remember guys, if you're blending, you can use white to blend it through instead of using pink. If you don't have pink straight out of the tube, or if you do have your pink straight out of the tube, you can use that. So watch me go right to left. We want to do this a bit quickly, guys, because we don't want the paint to dry up. Acrylic paint tends to dry very fast. So we're going to put some of that pink in that. So it's basically kind of, think of it as blending a sky to something interesting. So we're going to do some of that pink. So we're going right to left, right to left, right to left. And then we're gonna transition into another color. And if you don't want too many colors for your background, you can just basically use two colors, yellow or blue, and transition to green, or you can just use red and transition it straight to a light pink. So I'm gonna use some of that white. Get some of that pink, that light pink going. As you can see, when you add white, it gets a bit lighter. Now guys, depends on your canvas size. You should use a brush that is more convenient. As you can see, this is a small canvas, so I don't need a big or a large flat brush. I can just use this medium size flat brush and that pretty cool. But if you do have a larger canvas than I do, then you would want to use a larger flat brush because it's going to take a while if you use a small flat brush. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of that yellow and see how that goes.
Someone asked or said that they don't have white. We just
Wow.
Maybe just use a different color, but is there something that they can do?
If you don't have white, use the lightest color. The lightest color would help if you don't have white. But in future, you would need white. This white is very important, especially when it comes to highlights, you would need white. But for now, if you have a yellow, you can use yellow. And if you don't have black, you can just use dark colors like dark blue or dark red, you know, these are good substitution. So if you do not have white, use a light yellow. So I'm just transitioning through and I'm then going to use white, or you can use your light colors. And you can go ahead and so remember you're going right to left because my canvas is set up to vertically, it isn't horizontally. So you can go from left to right, left to right, left to right. Like I said, guys, you don't have to use these exact colors. So whatever colors you love, you would love to use, you can do that. And that would be fine. So I'm deciding to just go ahead and just a little bit of yellow. You think it's getting a little bit too light, you can add in a bit of that light color, whatever color. That's it. If you want to use purple, remember blue and red is purple, so you can mix those colors as well. But for now, I'm just taking advantage of what I have here on my palette. Remember, guys, don't let the paint dry up or the blend. It will be harder to blend because acrylics dry. They dry pretty fast. Put a little bit of that yellow back in there. Some white. And we are almost done. Remember, guys, we have to make sure the paint covers the canvas because you don't want to see through the canvas. So make sure you apply thick layers of paint. You don't want to see the canvas through the red paint or the canvas through the pink. So once you're satisfied with your background, you can set it to dry for about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, depends. Wouldn't take that long to dry. And then we can move on. So now, while we let that sit a while, you want to take your brush. You want to make sure your brushes are in your cups. You don't want to leave those out. You leave acrylic paint on your brushes with the water. They tend to harden the brush. And wipe it off with your napkin. And then we're next. So what's next is we're gonna start our flower. And you know, flowers, there's so many kinds of flowers. There's so many types, you know, colorful, they're yellow, there's sunflowers, hibiscus. But for me, I love doing a lot of things from my imagination. It makes it fun. But if you're not comfortable with creating your own flower from your imagination, you can always search up on your phone or any digital device and you find a flower that you like and you can use that as a reference. But I have no reference here. So I think I'm gonna do my flower, however I interpret my flower. So we have our background dried, almost dried. And for the second stage, you would have a choice whether you would want to use a pencil to draw in your flower, or you would want to go ahead and use a brush. Whatever you're comfortable with, you can use. So I'm very comfortable with using a brush to draw, but you don't have to, you can use a pencil. I'm going to use a round brush because it's sticky. It's kind of like a pencil. So like I said, if you're not comfortable with drawing with a paintbrush, then you can always use a pencil. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off with some black paint. And I'm going to see how creative I can get with this flower. Now, let's see. So we're starting from stem of the flower. And as possible, I'm going to do these lines thin. I don't want thick lines. And whatever you're comfortable with, you can, whatever the designs. Imagine, remember, I'm doing this for my imagination. So I'm just having fun with it. Because when you think of a flower, you would think of, okay, yeah, we're just drawing a flower or we're painting a flower. That's kind of boring. But once you use your imagination, you never know what you come up with. So right now I'm just drawing how I feel. That's that. And then I love lines. Remember, I'm doing this for my imagination, so there's no rules to it. Now we are going to create our petal. Remember, your petals doesn't have to have a specific shape. It can be any shape you want. It can be round, it can be narrow. It can have curves. It can be a circle. There's a lot of circles. Whatever you're comfortable with, you can go ahead and you can draw your petals. And if you want to add in a leaf there, let's add in the leaf. Remember, guys, you're using the black paint. I'm only using the black paint as a substitute for a pencil. So thinking about it is if I was drawing with the pencil. Okay. Now that my flower has been drawn, I want to think about what colors I would want to use. What colors would complement the background and which will intensify the flowers? Because we already have a lot going on in our background. So what would make these colors, what colors would make our flowers stand out? And you want to think, so we want to take advantage of the background color. We want to think about our yellows, our pinks, our red. So we're going to start out with the flower. We're probably going to use just a little bit of yellow and maybe some red. So start out with that color. Remember, the focal point or the focus point is our flower. And when you start off your flower, what I would do is I would start off with the darkest color. So yellow and red is orange. So let's see how that works. And if you prefer to use my colors, you don't have to use orange. You can actually use a dark red. Clean it off. Then I'm going to use some red. If you used a paintbrush to draw your flowers, just remember you would need that black paint to dry up just a bit because you don't want that to blend into your flowers too much. So right now I'm just taking advantage of my background as well as my color palette. As you can see, I'm still using a flat brush. If you're comfortable with something different, probably a round brush or a smaller flat brush, different from what you paint your background, you can switch it up as if you have a small flat brush. And what I'm going to do is use some white. Now remember what I said, if you don't have white, you can use a lighter color. I'm doing just light strokes. Go back with that red. Guys, remember to wipe your brush on your napkin. And let's see what we can use with this yellow. Remember guys, everything is from my imagination right now. So I'm just having fun. If you prefer to see the lines, those black lines around your flowers, if you use a paintbrush, you can leave those as well. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of white. Okay, so now we maybe want to start with some yellow here on another petal. So you can switch up the colors. You don't have to start with red or make your petals. Your petals don't have to be uniform. Remember that. Get some pink in there. And if you're comfortable with blending in the colors, you can do that too. I'm enjoying these little strokes that's happening here. Once you feel so you would want to need some more of that yellow, you go in, or some more of that red, you go ahead and you just go for it. Remember guys, it's all about having fun. At any time you can go back at your painting and you can perfect it how you would want to. You can put in a little details. You know you have those little veins in that flower that you may want to capture. You can always go back. You can always go back to a painting as many times as you would like. Trust me, you can't. You can. Yeah, so we're just blending. And blend until you're satisfied. Off your brush, and then we can go to another petal. Like I said, you can switch it up, go back to red. And you can get a little bit of white. And we can get some yellow. What we haven't used is blue, huh? Wonder how we can interpret a little bit of that blue in a flower. Remember, you don't have to use every single color on your palette. If you feel comfortable with using a certain color or you want to put that color in your flower, you can do that as well. And I think I should mix a little bit of purple. I think that would be fun to do so. Let's see how that works. A little bit. Matter of fact, we can go back there and put that in there. So let's go back to our yellow. And our white. Okay. Let's see how we can blend that in. So that we feel comfortable with doing, guys. You see a flower as pretty as you would want it to be. Doesn't even have to be all these colors. You can use 2 colors. You can use your reds and your yellow. And if that's what you're comfortable with doing, then you can do it. Remember, it's your flower. You know, it's your creative mind. And that's what's so amazing about being an artist. You create if you want. Okay. So I'm just going with the flow with my colors. So I'm probably going to use some pink. Now, just going back over it. I think it's going to be a little bit too whitewashed. You want to go ahead and put some more color in. I think I need some more color here. So let's go to our other. And when it's dry, you can always go back to your flower petal and you add more color. Okay. So once you get a hang of it, guys, like anything goes. So if you don't want your color to be light, your flower to be light, you can go ahead and you can add some more dark color. Okay. Just see a petal you want, you can go back over it. Okay. Yes. Maybe you want to start off with yellow. And then you can do some white. Okay, and then we use our reds again. Blend all that. Now, whatever you want to do with your flower, you can do that. Now, once that's dried, we can go back to that and then we can put a little pretty outline. But we want to get inside the middle of the flower. Choosing red. Go back over the flower. Red. Going back a bit. Yep. White. And you play with what you have. So once you're satisfied with your flower, feel as though, you're done. Sometimes we could take hours. But if you feel like you're done, then you can move on. So basically, this is basically just all about having fun. Having fun. So if you feel as though you're losing your shape, you can go back in with your black. And you can draw your petals. You can outline your petals. So if you feel as though you lost that shape, you can go back and outline it. Now we can take our brush once more, or maybe a smaller brush. Let's take a smaller. Get some red, some white. Some pink. Some pink. Just a little bit of pink. So like I said, it's all about taking advantage of your colors. I think some pink will do. So play around with your colors and you'll figure out, okay, is this what I want? Am I satisfied? Do I need a little bit of color? You know, it's all about what you're comfortable with. And don't forget to have fun, because we are supposed to be having fun as well. When you're bored of that color, you can add some more. I'm gonna add some yellow. Yeah. Okay, guys. So once you're done playing around with your flowers, you know, you're satisfied and you see what you're done, you can move on. And you can always go back and add in more colors, add in more details. Back and forth, you can let it dry, come back, take a look at it. So it's whatever you want to do. Okay, guys, so now let's see how we are going to do our little stem. So I'm going to use red. My choice is red. So this is basically my interpretation of a flower. Now I'm gonna add a bit of white. And then I'm going to show you our highlights are coming from the left. Or your highlight can come from the right. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna put a little bit of that pink. Here, just to create a light effect. I'm gonna do the same thing with our leaf. So you just can keep adding white until you're satisfied. So you think your stem or your leaf isn't light enough, you can go ahead and you can add in white, mix some white, just a little bit of white into your reds. And you can highlight your stem. And remember guys, we are trying to keep the shadow. The shadows are the dark reds. So you don't want to overpower it with your light. You should still see that dark red. And guys, your flower doesn't have to be my size. You can do a big flower. You can do a small flower, whatever size flower you want to do, you can do that. It doesn't have to be as small as mine or as tiny as mine. Like you can do whatever size you're comfortable with. Just adding highlight. So you can see it's getting lighter. And now I want to add just a bit more of that pink. Don't want it to be too light. And we are almost finished. Like I said, guys, you can go back to your petal. You can see what it is that you want to add in. If you want to add in more colors, if you want your flower petal to be just a little light and you want to add in some white, you want to add in some yellows, you want to bring a completely different color with some greens. You know, it all depends on you. But if your palette gets messy, that's okay. So I'm just going with my dry brush. As in dry brush, as in there's no water on my brush. I'm just having fun with my yellows. Adding some of that color. Maybe you want to put some of that on the stem. Interpret some of that yellow somewhere in between. How's it go for you guys? Are you having fun? Remember, art is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to have fun and it's supposed to be relaxing, and you know, we're just having some fun using our colors and creating. So you can play with your colors, like I said. Once you start mixing those colors, you'll notice you'll be mixing other colors like purples and greens and where you see in spots that you may want to add a bit more color or you want to lighten up, you can go ahead and you can do that as well. Okay, guys. So I'm just going to add just a bit more light to this. Maybe a bit more yellow. I think I'm done, guys. Are you done? If not, remember I said you can always go back to your flower and you can have fun with it. So guys, here's my flower. I hope you guys had fun with this little session we had. And like I said, you can go back and you can put in your details or whatever you want to do with the flower. I had an amazing time here in this little session and I thank you for tuning in. Have a good day, guys. Okay.